Hello.
He
Had to
wasn't
get up and
ready.
get my water cup, or else talk and be all parched and throat all hurting and stuff. It'd be
It's
terrible.
not. I've been
It'd
through
be
it. It's
terrible.
not worth it.
It'd be awful. But I got it, and we're good. Looking good. Got the lights and everything. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Overly Critical Hyperanalytical Movie Club. We're back with gusto. I'm a Wolfie man here, right here in your face, and with Matty as always.
Hi.
And we're here to talk about some movies. Oh, yeah. We got a first comment already. What do we got? Hey, Wolfie, miss you. I'm certain I miss you, too. We got Facebook user right here. If you feel like sharing your name, go ahead. Also, there's a link if you want to get in. Go to streamyard.com/facebook.com if you're on Facebook watching this, and you can share your identity if you so please. If not, you can be assured that I miss you as well. Love you. Thank you. How you doing, Matty?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. Hanging in there, surviving this here end of this pandemic. I got me my first shot not too long ago,
I ain't got it yet.
so that's pretty good. Be able to go out to the bars. Just kidding. Probably a
Still so
little
scared.
bit. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But that's been pretty good. Tonight, we have for you, we got some movie news. We're going to talk a couple little tidbits we found across the nets that are making some buzz this day, as well as our review of The Empty Man, a film you may not have heard of. I didn't hear about it until Matty told me about it, but it's actually a fairly large release and had trailers shown in the theaters, so some of you might have saw it in the theaters trailer-wise. But we watched it. We got it on VOD. It's out now. You can check it out yourself. We're going to do probably a fairly spoilery review of the film. So if you want to watch it spoiler free, go ahead and skip that part, but we'll have that here in a minute. And then we got some trailers for some other horror films, one called Honeydew and the other called The Earth.
In the earth.
In the Earth. Oh man. Hold on, let me update my banner for later. Just
It's
like that.
Ben Wheatley
Updated.
did it. For those who know,
Oh,
Kill
right.
List.
I'll be going blind into those trailers. Just go ahead and say that right now. I did watch Empty Man as per our review. But right now, I'm going to pull up the link to our first news story. And I have these a very fair degree of prepared most of the time. So that just cut off a few seconds from my usual time. Kabow! All right, so we got first up in movie news, we got The Last of Us HBO series casts Gabriel Luna, who you might know from the last Terminator film, Dark Fate. He played the T-1000-esque, like, duo Morphe Terminator guy. I thought he was pretty good in that particular role, and you might also know him from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where he played the Robbie Reyes version of the Ghost Rider. You were a fan of that, right, Matty Matavius?
Yeah, I like the comic series where Robbie Reyes shows up a lot, so I thought it was awesome they were going to put him in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I was hoping for that series because I thought he was great. I tried to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I didn't care, and I
Yeah.
watched the small 5-6 episode arc that he's in as Ghost Rider, and that's it because I love Ghost Rider, and
Yeah.
seeing Ghost Rider being in like an old a classic car, setting it on fire, I was like, I'm in. Let's do
Yeah,
it.
it's pretty
Not
cool.
against motorcycles, but I do like when they
Right.
switch up some of these characters, and him
I mean,
being
if you
Latino is always nice because it changes it
yeah.
from a whole bunch of white dudes playing Ghost Rider before
Right.
him.
If you
So
could
it
have
make,
a ton of different Spider-Men, you can certainly have many different Ghost Riders,
yeah.
which is then cool to see later when they mash them all up in the movie release or give them a cameo and stuff. So everybody wins.
Well, I
Really
mean,
is what it is.
what I thought was great about Agents of Shield is like when he gets his power. I think it's like Johnny Blaze or what's the other one? Danny.
Danny Rad. No, I forget. What is his name? Danny. It's Danny
It's
Rad, isn't
Danny.
it?
No, that's
No.
Daniel Radcliffe. Um, well, anyway,
Oh yeah,
the
that's right.
OG Ghost Rider before there was Johnny Blaze, like gives him his Ghost Rider powers, and it's a little cameo in the Agents of Shield, and I thought that was pretty cool because
Oh, that's
it's
cool.
like the only
His name is
so
Danny something. Anybody out there, go
is
ahead
it
and chime in.
yeah
That's
someone
bugging
who
me now. I'm trying to
I
Google it,
can't
but they're certainly giving me this CAPTCHA bullshit right now, where I got to verify the images, and they're like, "Oh, that wasn't actually a car. Here's another car."
and I
So
liked him in the Terminator movie. I thought he was good. I mean,
I
he
did
doesn't say
too.
a
You
lot,
know,
but I think he definitely has the screen presence to be intimidating. I was definitely scared for the people he was after. I was like, they're not going to make it through.
I enjoyed that Terminator more than the previous sequels.
Yeah,
I'll say that
I like
much.
it. It's not
Not
it's
great,
not
but
great.
it's Danny
Yeah,
Ketch for all those out there.
catch.
We
All
caught
right,
the
yeah.
catch. Danny Ketch. He's the other one. Okay, just to kind of go along with that. I had to Google it. Thanks
But I
for
can't
sticking
remember
around.
which one they like because it doesn't. I mean, it's just Ghost Rider and like his normal leather jacket with a motorcycle. So I
Hmm.
don't know if there's anything to like say which one it is or
Yeah.
anything like that. It's probably
Okay,
Johnny
so
Blaze.
since we're always talking about superheroes, we'll get to more superheroes. But let me just give you some details about this Last of Us casting right quick.
No,
Luna joins previously announced series leads Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, who will star as Joel and Ellie, respectively. Luna will star as Tommy, Joel's younger brother, a former soldier who hasn't lost his sense of idealism and hope for a better world. Anybody who's played the game knows that Tommy is a complex character just like Joel, and they go through a lot of shit together. So I'm, like you were kind of saying about Ghost Riders, let's have a Latino one, and it's great we have a Latino one, but it's kind of cool that we're getting like Latino Joel and Tommy
mm-hmm.
up in this piece. So I'm quite excited about that. I think he'll be a great cast, and so far we've only seen. Well, I didn't watch the Agents of Shield Ghost Rider stuff. I know, sue me, but you didn't get to see a whole lot of him in terms of his range as a Terminator because he was so silent the whole time. So it'll be cool to see him in like more of a speaking role. I'll go back and watch that Ghost Rider stuff for sure.
Yeah,
Right, Matty?
I'm stoked. I think
Heck
the
yeah.
cast looks amazing. I like that it's from what I've read, it's not going to exactly follow the story of the game that I've already played, which is fine.
Yeah.
If they just did it shot for shot, I still would be like, oh, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they're going to do something different. It seems like we're going to get a different Joel, a different Tommy. They're going to have different backgrounds, which is nice, and I'm sure Ellie will have a different background too, which will be interesting. I honestly, I'm just there for the clickers. I just can't wait to see what they look like on screen and in a television
Definitely.
series, and because I know these get like I know Pedro Pascal can act your fucking pants off, so I'm not worried about performances from them. I'm just more worried about the creatures. Are they going to look up to snuff?
Yeah.
Is the
What do we
world going to
got?
look cool?
We got the clickers. We got
There's a whole bunch of them.
there's ones that blow up. There's ones that are the clickers are the ones that are really bad, right? You need a knife to kill them.
Yeah,
And then you
there's
have
only
like kind of the normals, fast
Zombie.
zombie kind of cordyceps infected. So
Yeah.
pretty cool. You know what I liked about Last of Us is, it's like, especially after all the Resident Evil and stuff, is they kept it kind of simple. They only had a few tiers of
Yeah.
types of enemies, which are typical of video games, but I like that it wasn't like super overblown kind of super crazy monsters. I mean, there's that one in the second one in that basement.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
You know what I'm
Uh,
talking about.
I do know. The thing I love about Last of Us is it's always like when you run into humans is the hard part of the game for me.
Hmm.
I feel like getting around the zombies is like pretty
Yeah.
easy because they're kind of dumb and they have their limitations, but the humans have the range, the hearing, the eyesight, and
Yeah.
you know,
Give me zombies and not cults together. That's too
yeah,
much. Cults are probably the worst. They're probably the scariest thing because it's like people who are so twisted and how powerful their powers of manipulation could be or something. I don't know.
yeah.
I've been watching a lot of stuff on cults lately and crazy.
I know.
Some nutty people out there, but then the even nuttier ones are the ones who follow.
Kind of ties into the empty man a little bit.
So come be a Patreon member. Come be a Patreon cult member. That's $30 a month to be a official cult. No, I'm just kidding. Just joking. We don't really have that tier, but we can make it if you want it. So yeah, that's our Last of Us news. Looking forward to that. Tell us what you think about HBO's adaptation of Last of Us and what you've heard on the internets and the Gabriel Luna casting and everything. Please feel free to chime in at any point, and we'll field questions or put your face on the TV, and it's really fun. So
yeah.
Let me just cue up the next news item. Da-da-da-da. You know what I really need is some like news music right here. That'd be nice. Thought I got some moody royalty-free music playing in the background this time, folks. But we got Disney and original Predator screenwriter set for legal battle over rights to franchise. Let's just see what the deets are here real quick. Disney-owned 20th Century and original Predator screenwriters John and Jay Thomas are preparing for a legal battle over the rights to the 34-year-old science fiction horror franchise, which includes 4 movies in the Alien vs. Predator mashup project. The Thomas brothers wrote the screenplays for 1987's Predator, directed by John McTiernan, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, and its 1990 sequel, Predator 2. The brothers have filed a lawsuit against Disney to recapture the rights to the Predator franchise, prompting Disney to file its own lawsuit against the brothers to retain the rights. According to the Hollywood Reporter, the Thomas brothers are seeking to exploit copyright law's termination provision, which allows authors to cancel transfers after waiting a period of time, typically 35 years for newer works. Jim and John Thomas say they served a termination notice all the way back in 2016 and for 4.5 years heard no objection. Legal battle comes months after reports hit last November that Disney's 20th Century Studios was hiring 10 Cloverfield Lane director Dan Trachtenberg to develop a new Predator movie. The script for the 5th installment in the Predator franchise is being written by Kingdom and Jack Ryan scribe Patrick Ayeson. The most recent Predator, blah, 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 was not good.
That's true.
So I don't fully understand what's going on here. Seems to explain a little bit more, but it seems like the guys who originally wrote the Predator want it back from Disney so it doesn't get Disneyfied, and so we can watch some decent Predator movies again. I hope that's the case, and I hope they win the battle in order to do that. Or
I will say this: if they've had the rights this entire time and they've made some of the Predator and Alien, the Predator films that they've made, I'm ready for someone else to take it over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the Predator was not good. The Alien versus Predator films are fun to an extent, but not great. Predators was fun. I enjoyed it, but you had like
Predators
Rodriguez behind it and like Nimrod Antal directing it, and it was like a hard R movie.
Yeah.
So still some weird plot stuff with Topher Grace I was not into. Love Predator and Predator 2, but you ain't going to be able to make those movies anymore. They do have their issues. I was stoked for the 10 Cloverfield director to come in and make a good Predator. And just because Disney owns it doesn't mean it's not going to be rated R. You know, I feel like a lot of people get hung up on, it's not going to be rated R. It's not going to be good. And I was like, but it could be.
Or that it can't still be good because of that. You know, just get a little bit of that MCU energy behind the fandom element, and then you got a good beginnings of a recipe.
I mean, the thing is just to have a good script, right? I mean, nothing in the Predator was a good script. It just was all over the place. And if anything, I'm glad that Fox or whoever, like it being the original screenwriters, like that makes me excited that hopefully they get it back. But as long as whoever produces these movies at Fox and says, yeah, we want this done instead of this, I don't want those people touching any more Predator stuff because
they've had it long enough.
Yeah,
I mean, out of their hands.
And I thought that like Trachtenberg's like what he wanted to do was like set it in, you know, in a past with a female protagonist fighting a predator. Sign me up, dude. I've not seen that.
Yeah.
You know, it's always we got to set it on Earth. It's got to be in current times. I mean, Predators is set on another planet, but you know, it's always like current stuff. It wasn't like they took like Adrian Brody's character and then it's like with an actual samurai. It was everyone from a current time period or something. So,
and for what it sounds like, what we covered in a previous episode, Dan Trachtenberg's potential pitch or the synopsis that was floating around about it taking place possibly during Native American times and having like a Native American female lead. I feel like that's kind of the gist of what that was. So that sounds interesting by comparison to, you know, kind of like the buddy comedy schlockfest that the Predator was, which just, you know, like kind of what you're saying, you know, the Alien versus Predator movies didn't maybe satisfy in the way that we hoped either, but it's very different types of movies we're talking about here. The Predator was just such a strange, like, I don't know, almost feels like a front for criminal activities. No,
when your idea is for like, oh well, the Predator isn't cool enough, so let's just make him bigger, really taller, and I don't mind if they're bigger, taller, whatever. It's just I don't know. It's that whole thing they get wrapped up on that one Predator's scary, and he's not scary anymore. He's cool. The thing that would be scary is if there were like 10 down on Earth, and you're like, holy shit, one of these is hard enough to kill. How are we going to take out 10 of them? And that's what made Predators fun, was because there were like 4 of them, and each one of them had their own face off with another. I wish there was more of like the thing that I was kind of hoping with Trachtenberg's was I was hoping there'd be like a battle. Like there'd be several Predators with like several Native Americans trying to fight them. Yeah. They probably kill like one, but they wipe them out. And you have this, this lone survivor of this clan, going up against maybe 1 or 2 Predators or, I don't know. I want that big scope, man. I want to see several of them on the ground.
And he learns from the natives that the galaxy belongs to no man. It belongs to us all, or something like that. No,
it just makes me upset that we're going to push a Predator, what sounds like could be a really cool Predator film back, who knows, till where Trachtenberg's already set something up. The screenwriter seems like he's done some cool stuff. He's going to move on. Like, people don't wait around, so then we're going to end up, if Disney gets the rights, they're just going to try to churn one out real quick, which I hope doesn't happen. I hope that they've learned with the Marvel films to take time with these franchises and, give them good directors and good script writers and like let them show their vision. I mean, kind of what happened with Justice League. Like, we actually got that guy's script and it was good.
Yeah, true.
So,
true.
Matty just wants a Predator film. That's all he wants.
Yeah. Let's just
every
hope it doesn't
3 to 4 years.
Let's just hope it doesn't turn out to be Predator Huntus.
Oh, don't start.
But, I would have, we'll see. I haven't actually seen 10 Cloverfield Lane he directed, or 10 Cloverfield Paradox or whatever. 10
so there's 10 Cloverfield Lane, which he directed, and then there's the Cloverfield Paradox, which is trash.
Okay. Gotcha.
But it's got your girl in it, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I can't believe you haven't watched it yet.
She's in the Paradox one?
No,
well?
She's in 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Oh, that one I've seen. I haven't seen the other one. Yeah. Okay, so good. I'm glad
don't watch
you
it.
said that. Yeah, no.
It's honestly like a separate film. It's like a separate film until like the very end of that movie. It's kind of like, J.J. Abrams like, let's tie this one together by putting a monster at the end of it. It's like, what? It's dumb.
Nice. So next up, we got for you our The Empty Man review. Matty turned me on to this film and what it was all about. It's based on a Boom Studios comic book. Loosely based on a Boom Studios comic book of the same name by Colin Bunn. It's directed by first-time writer-director David Pryor and stars James Badge Dale. And he's pretty good. He was also
Stephen Root.
Oh, Stephen Root makes an appearance in it.
Yeah.
It's got some notable character actors that you've seen before, and I would just maybe like to say on the surface, it feels like maybe every other kind of like horror film that's trying to be clever at first, but then on my first watch, I was like, okay, pretty solid. Seemed kind of silly to me at points, but then I went back and watched like an Empty Man explained video that this guy broke down the whole movie and kind of what little details I missed and stuff, and it's actually very impressively put together for a first-time filmmaker. And the atmosphere, I remember really enjoying the atmosphere of the whole film and kind of the haunting weightiness of every different scene. So there's really a lot to chew on, and it's a longer film. It's like 2 hours and almost 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So it didn't really feel like super long. And in the age of Zack Snyder's Justice League, it's not that big a deal. I'm starting to get used to longer films. But there's a lot here. It's very dense, and I think it could easily be written off as being like, pretentious or convoluted or whatever. But everything checks out, folks. Like, all the pieces match, and it's a really very solid horror film that has a little more to say than I think you might notice from just the surface. How do you feel about it, Matty?
So I watched this film. I think they premiered the trailer like a really it's pretty crappy trailer that to tell you what this movie's about and get you to watch it on VOD. Like they released it a day
Yeah.
before. Uh, it actually came out on VOD. Like it was like the next day or the day after or whatever. So I watched it, and then my dad saw it, and he was like, "Oh, what'd you think?" And I was like, "Ah, it was all right, you know, kind of whatever. It's a
Hmm.
long horror movie. Sometimes those work, sometimes they don't." And he was like, "Oh, I thought it was really good." So first of all, let me say, my dad does not love a long movie. Like he'll watch The Lord of the Rings because you know it's action, stuff like that. So for him to dig this movie was kind of weird to me, and I kind of like wrote it off, but I was still thinking about it. I was like, that was pretty interesting that my dad liked it. I did like the opening of the
Yeah.
film, and there were some cool ideas. I didn't really get what was going on, and then several days had passed, and then a video popped up by Chris Stuckman called "The Empty Man Deserves a Cult Following," and I was like, that's interesting. I watched some of this guy's reviews to try to make my reviews a little snappier because he's really good at keeping them short and saying what he means really
Nice.
quickly. And like if he likes something, he'll
Hell
give you
yeah.
every reason why. But so I watched some of his reviews for some of the films that I've liked, just get other people's opinions on. And he just kind of goes through all of this, like what he liked about it, and it is
Hmm.
long, but it's like really well shot, you know. And a lot of these scenes, it looks like a David Fincher film,
Hmm.
like it just it's like with the budget, you're like, wait, this is first time director. It's from Fox before Disney took it over.
Hmm.
Look at this
It's one of the
lighting. I
last
mean, it
films that
looks
they had.
really
Yeah.
good, right?
It looks
This
the
cool creep.
cinematography is incredible in the movie, honestly, and that speaks to what I was saying about the atmosphere. There's certain moments you find yourself in the film that aren't necessarily the like more effects heavy scares or anything
Mm-hmm.
that are just really effective scenery around you or around the characters in the film, and I found that to be like really cool and like thing I can compare it to is like maybe like Max Payne or something, a video game where you have this really thick atmospheric environments that and there's a lot of interesting scene jumping and like mind fuckery going on throughout the film. So there's a lot of there's artistic kind of like visual moments through the film, but that don't like you know don't feel like over pretentious or overthought or something like that, or something that could have been left cut. It actually throughout the film, perfect example here. You see this, their fingers around the bottle and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There's small details throughout the film where you see the fingers wrapped around the bottle in the way that they are, as well as the first time you see that skeleton, where there was a good flash of it here around somewhere.
Yeah, I don't remember where it was.
Let's see where it is.
Towards the
But
front, or
possibly it's hard to.
it might be.
Here's a
Yeah, there it
here's
is.
a good shot of it. So you can see this really cool skeleton. For what you can see, I think you probably see it pretty good there at home. But there's like all these fingers interconnected here, which I really appreciated that visual because it was a throwback. It seems to the artist Zisla Bechinsky,
Yeah,
who painted some really psychedelic kind of dark stuff.
horrific.
Who I found out about him through Tool. I'm going to show you an image of his
The
real quick.
trumpeter, or whatever it's
Yeah,
called, the
the
trumpet player. Or
trumpet,
whatever.
the trumpet something or other.
Yeah,
But I have all these links set up. Hold on, I just wanted to show the similarities there. I was hoping I could show them both at the same time. But here's the original kind
yeah,
of where you see all the fingers. But the cool thing, one, it's cool to see like the Zisal Baczynski influence, but then also see the in the trailer or in the film itself the design element taken to it. But then also there's all this, the way that everybody holds the bottle and it mirrors that same kind of
yeah.
image. And so there's and that's just an example. I'm just pointing that out as an example because the film is actually quite well designed and littered with all these little things to kind of notice.
Bridges, spinning
Yeah,
things. It's all in there.
yeah, it's
I just
really,
want to give a little background to the director for the people out there in this review,
yeah,
real
hit
quick.
it.
Like, so David Pryor, those cool special editions that came out, like Fight Club looked like the bar of soap, and like Panic Room had like a 3 disc special feature set, and like the Master and Commander set that was like super dope and looked like, I think it was like a map or something.
Uh-huh.
So David Pryor is the man behind all of those cool special features and the
Oh
interactiveness
wow.
of those films.
Wow,
So
that's
he got
cool.
to So like he wanted to be a film director, and basically the studio he was working for, they're like, "Oh, do you want to do something like that?" And he said, "I always really liked Criterion special features because they showed you what directors were doing with the actors and like really good behind the scenes stuff." So
Mm-hmm.
he would go and film David Fincher filming,
Wow.
like Fight Club or Panic Room. And he would like get you all the behind the scenes stuff of like him trying to set up a scene and like get the actors to do what he wanted. And like,
Right.
so his background and his schooling for film, his like second go around, I guess, was through David Fincher and like Peter
Yeah.
Weir and like these Goliaths in film. So like when you
Yeah.
go back and watch The Empty Man, it totally feels like it should be a David Fincher movie, but not in the realm of like what David Fincher would do. This is a little more supernatural, I think, for like what Fincher would
Right.
normally do, besides like Alien 3 or something. Um, but just the way he looks and the way he shoots stuff. I mean, some of this stuff could be right out of Zodiac. Some of the like the bridge shot here and stuff, and
Yeah.
so it's pretty interesting. Like he just cut his teeth on doing all these behind the scenes features and like making really cool
Wow.
DVDs that weren't Criterions.
Yeah.
And there were other guys involved in the process of this, but he was just that's his background. And
Yeah.
he did shoot a little short film called AM 1200. You can watch that on YouTube. Just type that in if you want to see something else before you get into this. And it kind of sets you up for what this film could be about. But yeah, man, I thought that was super interesting that he, like his schooling is from some of the greats, you
Right.
know?
No, that's amazing. You can absolutely tell throughout the film. It's like, and commendable directing too, because there's a lot of concepts that need to be sold throughout the
Mm-hmm.
movie to increase the believability. And you got a lot of younger actors in there, so that there wasn't a whole lot of like cringy performances. It seemed like everybody carried exactly the weight they needed to get concepts across, especially
Mm-hmm.
with scenes like Stephen Root, or the scenes with the mother of Amanda, the Amanda character whom he had an affair with at some point in their history or whatever. The supporting cast, like everybody lifts just the amount of weight that they need to. And the main guy, what's his name, James Badge Dale.
Dale. Yeah.
He carries the brunt of the weight of the film, I guess. And I thought it just felt like a lot of really well calculated moves on the part of the director throughout, especially considering how heady some of it is and how high concept the film itself can be overall. And your immediate thoughts go to like Slender Man or the Bye Bye Man or something like that.
Ugh,
I was
terrible
kind of
flick.
making yeah, I was making jokes in my head, but a really interesting theme that plays throughout The Empty Man is how like this is the instance possibly of like urban legends or beliefs or certain concepts having so many people connected to it or stimulating it that it actually comes to be in these different ways and stuff. So it plays around with the even the shittier aspects of some of those lamer movies or that
Yeah.
kind of idea. So I think it kind of comes off that way at first, but it's it's quite enjoyable.
So just a little more info, like so Boom Studios owns the right to Empty Man, and he got this like, hey, do you want to make this movie? And he like read the comic, and the director was like, hey man, this is cool. I love the writer of this. He writes really well, but if you want a shot for shot like version of the comic, I don't want to do that. But I do have this idea that we could set in this universe.
Mm-hmm.
So the comic and the movie take place in the same universe, but are two totally different tellings of the Empty Man, basically.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna
he just
ask
had all
about that.
these concepts that he was playing around with of like, telling someone a story and how a story passes and how it,
Mm-hmm.
like Bloody Mary, for example, is like everyone knows that story. You go in the bathroom, say her name 3 times,
Right.
and she's supposed to appear in the mirror, and I heard that as a kid, but, and that was passed down from generation to generation. And that's like the concept he wanted to get through with the Empty Man. Like, how far could this push it? Could a cult be behind it? Could there be a cult that worships Bloody Mary and make that almost,
Right.
if enough people worship it, can it make it into a existence kind of
Yeah.
thing? And that's what I loved about
Yeah.
The Empty Man. I mean, it's it is a long movie, so
Mm-hmm.
I just want to, because I told Stefan this. I was like, Stefan, it's long. And I remember his first response. I watched it. It's a long movie. And I was like, I told you, you know? So it is long. I mean, just to say how long it is, the first 20 minutes of the film is like a short film in itself. And then you get the title screen and you meet the main character, which is a great opening. It really sets the tone for the rest of the movie. But basically, this guy said, I want to make this movie. And whoever the head was at Fox over this developing this said, cool, I love your idea. Here's basically a whole bunch of money to go make your movie. Whatever you need, we're behind you 100%, which is like insane to think about today, because you can't even get that with like, it's like you can't even get that with some marketable superhero flicks, it seems like these days, like they're like, oh, we're gonna make a Bloodshot movie from Valiant. I haven't seen this movie, by the way, but it looks nothing like any of the comics I've read. It's like, that's crazy. You're gonna give it to a first time director off of a horror comic and let him make a 2-hour movie? Like, what? It's unheard of. But they basically
it feels under the radar in that way.
Yeah, they gave him everything he wanted. Everyone was super supportive, and the reason it kind of got dumped is because the Fox Disney buyout, sell it, like merger. So it kind of got pushed back. And a cool little tidbit was, so they have all these movies that Fox is doing and they bought the rights to, right? So they're like, oh my God, we have all these movies, we have to put them out. So they screen it for like the head honchos at Disney and like, people like us who are just like writing reviews about it. And people did not like it. They're like, it's too long, but what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. It's too heady. So Disney's like, all right, cool. We're going to cut you a slick 96-minute movie. They showed that, and the audience hated it even more than the longer cut. Wow, so that's the only reason we have this uncut 2-hour flick, is because it's better than the cut down version, which basically cut out the 20-minute opening and a lot of like those heady concepts. So I can't even imagine cutting that film down. I've watched it like 3 times now. I can't even imagine what a 96-minute version of this flick would be. I just feel you'd be lost the entire time. Like, what the fuck am I even watching? Right. But it's crazy. It's just like, I love these stories in Hollywood. They're just, they happen so rarely that someone goes, sure, man, here's a bunch of money, go make a horror flick. A heady horror flick that does. I mean, there are like a couple of jump scares, but it's a smart person's horror movie, I feel like. And this film is not for everyone. I love it, and it's definitely like my cup of tea. It is long.
At a certain point, you got to kind of strap in for the ride there and kind of let certain things sink in, I'd say. And
there's if you watch that YouTube video of Chris Stuckman's like review and why he thinks Empty Man should be a cult film, or will be eventually, and I think it will be. I think it's going to be, 5-10 years from now. I think people are really going to flock to this as like a good cult film.
Yeah, something they missed.
But there's a really cool director. Like, the only way you're going to get a director's commentary, unless like, Scream Factory picks it up, or, those other places that pick up these like kind of films and give them like good special features. It's called Secret Handshake is the name of the podcast. Okay. And it's cool. Bonus features number 8, where they like, you can listen to David Pryor talk about everything he went through making this. And even with the cool skeleton creature, like, I guess the first one that showed up on set, he was like, there's no way I'm filming this. This thing looks ridiculous. Really? And he basically, where they were filming at, which I forget where it was, but as a foreign country, they found a local guy who made like prosthetic effects and like sculpted. And he did that. And he was like, this is exactly what I wanted. And this guy doesn't work for like Hollywood, basically, or has.
Yeah. It was filmed in Edwardsville, Illinois, and Madison County, Illinois. Yeah. And parts in South Africa, apparently.
Yeah. That's where they that's where they shot a lot of the Bhutan stuff at the beginning, which is really cool looking stuff, and has some indie actors. And I think one of the girls is from Nosferatu, and one of the guys is from Easy and is in a lot of Joe Swanberg stuff. If you ever watch his stuff,
find the budget, but couldn't find it. But
I think for the budget, I mean, there is some stuff that I just like. Towards the end, they try to get more into the spooky creature kind of cat. Which, don't get me wrong, I love spooky creature, but there's definitely some of that, and they try to do a jump scare too. I don't know, man. The more I think about this movie, the more it sticks with me. Which is weird that it's a movie about trying to get like this empty man passed down through generations. Basically, what's happening with these like YouTube videos, us talking about it after
Yeah.
I went out and had lunch with a friend today. I was like, you should just check it out. And I told her, it's like, it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. So
Yeah.
buckle
Doesn't
up. I
feel
know you
so
don't
bad
like,
actually.
yeah, it's a lot to ask of people in a horror movie genre.
Yeah.
Like for me, a good horror movie runtime is an hour 30, hour 46.
Yep.
That's a sweet spot. That's when Matty knows he's going to dig it. If
Yeah.
it's shorter than that, it could be a little iffy. Longer than that, really iffy. Which is, this is a really long horror movie.
Unless it's something like a Doctor
classic.
Sleep or something like
Yeah.
it's a continuation of a classic. It's like a Blade Runner or something. We'll sit for an extra hour for that. But for it to being like seemingly under the radar the way it is, it's pretty it's a pretty monumental like achievement, I think, and especially hearing all the stuff about what the director had to say about making it.
He gets into more of his like heady concepts and what he was thinking about, and he can tell this story better than I, because I'm just this is like the third retelling of it. So
yeah, one thing the film is definitely is like a lot of things, and they all function together, and they all function for a purpose against one another. So there is that sense of ambiguity in the storytelling where it's kind of really left up to you in the end, kind of feeling. So but not to say that there's also like nice deep resolutions for the characters and this kind of thing. And once you kind of I like going and watching the YouTube explain videos, even after what's seemingly the most simple movie or whatever. Like there's stuff I miss, so it's worth diving into checking those out after you watch it too. Before the knee-jerk reaction tends to like take over and be like, nah, that sucked or whatever. But it's definitely worth it in that regard to do the deeper digging.
So like this film for me, I love it, and there's a thing where like I'll watch something and be like, oh, it was okay. I like, I enjoyed what I saw. I didn't like watch 2 hours and be like, this is trash. My dad saying something about it, but it always felt like a movie I would probably revisit like several years from now. Like, oh, I haven't seen The Empty Man in a while. Oh yeah, I did not think I'd be revisiting as much as I have and as soon as I have, which is pretty rare for me. I usually just let stuff simmer, for a while, and then I get back to it. And I'm like, oh yeah, that was a pretty dope movie. Why did I not like this as much the first time I saw it? Like, I brought this up before, but Overlord has been that way for me. Like, it's been several years since I saw it, and I have a new appreciation for it because I know what it is. And I think Empty Man the more you watch it, the better you understand it, the more you see. It's what you want from a movie, in my opinion. Is if I can like get everything in the first go around, the rewatch value is really hard for me. But if I pick something up every time I watch it and get a new experience every time I watch it, to me, that's something that's going to stand the test of time. Like, this film isn't going to be a classic. There's probably never going to be a release of it, so you can't pull it off your shelf. It's going to be like a VOD thing, and you might bring it up at some point, or just tell your friends. Like, I was telling Stefan about it, and then, like, when he responded back, I was like, oh God, he hated it. It'll still be fun to talk about because I have a lot to tell him about it. But I thought the concepts were there, and knowing Stefan the way I do, I thought some of like the Tulpa and the just some of that stuff and the cult stuff I thought you would be super into. So I was a little let down when you said, what's long? I was like, no.
I know. It was a late night, I think. But there's plenty to chew on in terms of these, the conceptual, like what really is the reality of our own conceptual mental power. Like, does the world outside me exist exactly? Or is it just my mind that exists that projects outwardly these concepts that we agree on, and how concepts are like almost a virus and everything. So it's really, it's got elements of a monster film. It's got even elements of like zombie movie stuff in it.
What's that really scene at the cult compound? That's so good. Yeah.
And what sets it apart is it takes all these separate ingredients from films that we kind of love, and it weaves them into this like really deep and like textured analysis of our own conceptual fears and things like this. And like how once you start thinking about it, or once that seed is planted, it's like this chain reaction of like, well, why is this and why is that and what is this? So it's like, in a way, you in a way, what they're kind of saying in the film is that it's sometimes we think so much of things that we tend to like unmake the reality that we're trying to see or whatever. But also what is that reality or whatever.
Yeah.
So it gets into like deep conceptual ideas about what it even means to conceive things or to believe in certain things or whatever. So I'm explaining it in a bastardized ways, obviously, but it's definitely worth the watch.
Well, the best thing about these like review breakdowns are they like to show you scenes of like, this is what we're talking about here, and it's like, oh, if you're not like, that's the best thing about because you have visual aids to get you through it, to explain the concept. And just having us talk about it's kind of weird, and you should see the movie first before you ever watch it, like an explaining. And I love the idea of like a cult getting together and making something a reality. Like if enough people thought about it hard enough, it could become a reality. It's a cool concept. I don't think I would hate, that would be crazy if that could actually happen, but it's a good horror movie. It's a good thriller. If you just like a thriller with a little bit of horror in it, it's great for that. I feel like it's an interesting film, and I think people should be watching this. For the people who complain about too many superhero movies and seeing the same thing over and over again, there are films like The Empty Man that break that mold of like what horror can be.
Than the little things.
Yeah, and it breaks the mold of what horror can be, what a mystery thriller can be.
Yeah,
what like a cult film can. So I really love this movie.
So out of 10 empty bottles found on a bridge, what do you give The Empty Man?
So I'd probably give it a 10 out of 10.
Wow.
I mean, it does have a low score. It's like 59%, so it's almost that, like, or 50 something. It's almost on the Rotten Tomatoes scale. It's quite close to being a certified fresh thing, or, I don't know. I really like it, and I think it's an interesting film. I mean, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10 because I rarely see this film. I'm not giving it because it's perfect all the way around, but I will take a film with flaws who's trying to do something new in a genre that is, people say, is tapped out. Like, I've seen it all before. I don't think I've seen a movie like The Empty Man. I think I don't think the name is great, and I think people compare it to like what you're saying, like Bye Bye Man, or like Legends film, like Urban Legends and stuff like that. And I think that title is not great, but they did have to kind of tie it into the Boom Studios property, set up a frame. Who knows what like these people are thinking when they make it. And I just, I will give a 10 out of 10 for someone trying something. And I think it's shot well. I think the music's great. I think the acting's great. I just, maybe the concepts could have came through a little clearer, but I think it's a movie that isn't made for, it's not trying to like hold your hand through it. It wants you to watch a special features. It wants you to figure out what this movie is, who directed it, why did he write this movie? And for me, I like doing that research, man. I like getting in there. I like knowing something about it. So
true that.
What's Stefan give
it?
4 out of
10.
The
heat on this episode. I'm gonna go ahead and give it, because I enjoyed it through the watch, and I felt like, at no point did it treat me like I was an idiot, which I really hate when movies do that. At no point did it try and force anything down my throat. It may feel that way at sometimes, but there's a lot of information coming at you throughout the film, and at the time of watching, I didn't realize how rewarding that would be to notice those details or dig a little bit deeper. So because I did, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 there. I wanted to give you the power of your 10 out of 10 and kind of step out of its way. I didn't want to overblow it just so I could join you in the limelight there, but I thought that was sensible, because and it probably deserves a 10 also, but I don't know. I thought that was a fair assessment for my enjoyment level watching the movie itself.
I mean, I was going to go 9 out of 10, but I was like, what's a point? Give it the 10 out of 10.
I think it sends a statement. I'm over here being like acting the more sensible part, but I think, it definitely is both highly recommended by us, and it stuck with me after the fact, more so than the initial watch. And so I'll probably give it an 8 out of 10 until I watch it again, but rock solid movie. Check out The Empty Man if you're looking for something that's a dark thriller, Fincher-esque film with a little bit to chew on. This is your movie. Check it out. And yeah. So that was our
The Empty Man will be known.
roughly, what is that? 8 and a 10. So it's like roughly a 9 on average. Am I doing the math right? I don't know. It doesn't
Sure, why
matter.
not?
We just do that for fun. So next up, we're going to watch a couple of horror trailers that are upcoming. We're going to go ahead and watch from Honeydew and also In the Earth. Let me cue these up right quick.
Yeah, I seen these.
I have not seen these trailers, so I'm going in fresh to death.
These are two that I'm pretty stoked about. I might watch Honeydew tomorrow or tonight.
Cool.
It's on VOD right now. I think In the Earth is in theaters. I'm sure it's not like a huge release, but
okay,
it's not on VOD. It's like, come on, man.
Let's go ahead and skip this ad here. Unmute. Hold on, let me cue it up a little better. Whoa.
So I do want to say, since his name's up there, Sawyer Spielberg. That is Steven Spielberg's son. He's in this movie.
Nice. In it?
Yeah.
As an actor? Okay.
As an actor.
All right.
He has directed a short.
Honeydew trailer coming at you. Bloody Disgusting, always bringing some good exposure to good films. Love those guys.
That kid is staring at us.
One thing I really dig about kind of where horror is there's just a really good emphasis on cinematography. I feel like things look in the horror genre look really pretty good.
It's because you shoot everything in the dark with limited light. It always looks cool.
Yeah, a little bit of fire. I know right when I said that, it went to like the darkest scenes. But it's got that natural light kind of feel. Creepy.
Oh, please. Where are my manners? You two must be starving. Room for dessert?
Oh, shit. She's creepy.
Yeah.
There's no online or phone service over here.
Sam?
You like cardamom? We were overindulging in God's feet.
Riley?
But we have been given an opportunity for absolution. So we may be judged.
Eye stuff, man. Whew.
Yeah, totally. Hey, effective trailer, I will say.
Yeah.
That
It's
had
enough
me hooked there. That looks like, I don't know what the hell's going on, of course, but it looks like it's going to be a mindfuck a little bit there.
Yeah.
What do we know about the movie as of yet? What can you?
I don't know that much. I've just watched the trailer, and a synopsis basically, two kids have to go stay at this weird house, and it looks like some body horror, some mutilation,
like some trippy stuff. Maybe there's some trippy kind of drugging or something. I don't know. Some interesting visuals.
It's just one of those films that pops up on Matty's radar that says, "Ooh, what's this about?" And I also love that it's called Honeydew. It's just, it's not what you would. It's unassuming, and it looks like it's going to be a really uncomfortable watch, and I can't wait.
Right. I was just gonna say, yeah, it probably packs more of a punch than than what you're led to. I don't know what you're led to believe or what your expectations could be based on that, but it does have that kind of attitude, kind of like there's something behind these doors, kind of thing.
Yeah, it looks like it's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre without Leatherface, but it looks like there might be some cannibalism going on a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm down for it. I thought it looked interesting.
Yeah, it did look good. So next up, we're going to watch In the Earth to finish off our program this evening. Let's see what this one's all about. Matty always coming with the nice. I think what started some of this whole episode and everything was I was on a horror kick, and I kept asking what's the horror movie I need to watch, and so we've arrived at these trailers and The Empty Man. I watched Dream Warriors for the first time. Honestly, Freddy 3 was so good. And what else did I watch? I don't know. There's some Invisible Man, the Lee Wanell version, the newest version with what's her name? Something Moss.
Elizabeth Moss.
Elizabeth Moss. That was a great movie. But anyway, here, let's watch In the Earth. We're talking about horror. Ooh. Love it.
Tell
Like
me
I
his
said,
story.
good imagery.
These are his memories. Can you feel him now? In the earth.
No, I don't know what you mean.
I think you do.
So what are you working on?
Searching ways of making crops more efficient.
Funny place to study crops in a forest.
We had to send a rescue party in to get a group out a couple of months ago. They got lost.
Why didn't they use GPRS?
There's no phone reception in there. People get a bit funny in the woods sometimes.
Nice. I have seen, what Ben Wheatley's have I seen? Kill List. I have not seen.
He did
Paradise.
Free Fire too.
I've seen Free Fire.
It's a local folktale. She's the
I
spirit
gotta
of the
see
woods.
his Filled in England one.
It's kind of a hard. I haven't watched it all the way through. It's like black and white, kind of in the vein of like The Lighthouse.
Yeah.
Like it's like very period, and it's like kind of shot.
Wake up.
It doesn't look like this. It looks like kind of like an amateur shot it, but it's supposed to be that. So it's.
Yeah.
I've tried.
Yeah. I like his style though, that's for sure. I love Kill List. Kill List is one of those that sticks in my brain. I think I watched it 3 times before I realized I had actually watched it. I kept rewatching it and being like, oh wait, I've
Well,
seen this before.
it's because that movie like starts off as a totally different movie and then goes
Yeah.
somewhere you don't expect it to go.
Yeah. Phantasmagoric. What a great word.
What do you want?
Everything seems to just keep us here.
Cool. All right. I mean, I'm in on Ben Wheatley. It's got a good title.
Yeah.
What I just saw was efficiently spookifying.
Yeah, I'm sold. It looks cool. A lot of the reviews are just saying it's the next best like horror this year. It's the best they've
Cool.
seen this year. So
Awesome. Yeah.
I don't know what's coming out. I was trying to think of this other movie where it was shot on 12 different iPhones, and it's like the
Oh,
actors
shit.
haven't really acted before, but it looks also really trippy. And I was trying to like look
love
up the
stuff
name,
like
but it looked
that,
like I was
yeah.
paying attention to the people out there.
Yeah.
But if someone could chime in and let me know what the name, I just watched the trailer for it. It looks pretty solid as well.
We'll have to do like a hidden gem dump here pretty soon and seek out some of these more under the radar kind of films. You seem to. I was going to ask you something before we head out. Why do you think it is that we're so drawn to horror films? Why do you think they're so like scintillating?
I mean, so for me, a lot of the time I don't like, I'll watch a drama film that's about like everyday life and it's really well acted. Like Minari looks amazing. Can't wait to see Stephen Yeun in that role. I've heard nothing but great things. But to me, it's like people starting a farm. My grandparents had a farm. I know how hard it can be. You know, what I don't see is aliens, the chest bursters. I don't get that. And that's what draws me to it. And I think just my personality is like, I kind of go to the extremes. Like I definitely have like a limit. Like there's some stuff I just don't care to watch, like Serbian film.
Right.
But I just like the fantastical, dude. I like, you know, because there's nothing, you know, I would love to believe in Bigfoot. Is he real? No. But while I watch a movie about it and the possibility of the existence of Bigfoot or Nessie, yes, that shit's so cool to me that there could be this supernatural. And Steph and I have both had like some weird supernatural experience in a place that we lived. So I do believe that there's that some kind of weird supernatural stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, I can't like, I don't know, man. Like, you know,
Something
it's
psychological or
yeah,
primordial.
I love
creating.
like I can't turn into a werewolf. You know, I will never get turned into a vampire just because I was out too late. You know, it's just it's a fun romp. You know, it's something I can't experience. You know,
You're right.
Like if I watched a movie where like a man was hanging off the ledge of a building, I could potentially go do that if I wanted to and feel that fear. I don't want to.
Right.
I'm afraid of heights. But you know what I couldn't do? I couldn't, go to a secluded cabin in the woods where an old grandmotherly figure cuts me up into feeds me pieces of myself. Those stories do exist that have happened to people, and
Yeah.
there's some weird stuff out in the world. But I can't,
Right.
I don't know what it is that draws me
Yeah.
to it. I just
I
love it
think-
because I can't excessively go out and have that experience.
Yeah. I think because I know I'm safe generally and like
Yeah.
comfortable and pretty well insulated from pretty dark things, it tends to lead me fascinated by darker perspectives or dark scenes. Like I constantly think of the movie Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, because it feels so real, and it feels like, for lack of a better way to describe it, you can see through the perspective of these two murdering psychopaths through the process of what it is that they do or they're stimulated by, i.e. the killings and stuff. Not that I have any desire to, see a dead body or be a part of any killings or anything like that. It just feeds this kind of fascination, I guess, morbid curiosity. Yeah, and I like that stuff. I like Edgar Allan Poe, and I like, dark poetry and dark stories. And I realize my life has not been so dark or anything like that. But I've had this question posed to me, and it's like, there's lots of reasons. There are lots of reasons why. But I think, especially when I watch these trailers that we just watched and see how, a lot of really effective horror films are made on really small budgets, and I find that to be like a really beautiful thing, that we can execute some of these really frightening concepts and ideas without needing like big overblown budgets really a lot of the time. And some of my favorite films have had, really modest budgets and scared the crap out of me.
Yeah. The stuff that always gets me is home invasion stuff, and anything like Honeydew's probably going to get me, where somewhere like I feel like I could escape from if, my hands weren't tied, and there's just, someone's taking control. Like I don't feel like I could be bound up. It doesn't seem like like I need to know that where my exits are and I can get out of that situation. And that horror always gets me a little more. I don't like slasher flicks, I think, for the same reason. Like I can watch Halloween. I love some of the Halloween movies. I love some of the Jason flicks. They're fun, but they just don't do it for me. Like, they're fun to watch, but yeah, I mean, for me, it just doesn't. I will always go to the fantastical, the Lovecraftian, the stuff from another world,
creatures, supernatural. That's where I'm at too. Like I like the exploration of like the veil between life and the afterlife and that kind of thing, or I don't know, apparitions and stuff. And I'm like the first person who's just like, I'm ready to see the ghost. Let's go. Let's see the ghost. But they never seem to show up.
It's because you want it too bad. It's like
I
a
want
cat.
it too bad, and then like I weird them out or something.
It's like when you meet someone's cat for the first time. Like, don't try to pet it. Just chill. Yeah. And it'll come to you and it'll lay on your lap for like an hour after that. It'll be awesome.
They just think you're just some other body to coexist. Don't get in their space. If you'd like to help the channel grow, like to help our content out, and are in a position to do so, go ahead and check out our Patreon. We got some fun tiers over there that you can sign on and subscribe to our content and get some exclusive bonus content as well as artwork and stuff by both Matty and myself. Check out our Patreon. That'd be dope if you do that. But before you do that, go to Facebook and go to our group, Overly Critical Movie Club, and join if you're watching on YouTube somewhere right now or you're not yet joined up. Come and talk movies with us. You can get in on the conversation here on the show at any point in time as we're talking, as well as on the page there, on the group page, and we have a lot of fun. We got a really good community of just over 300 members now, so let's keep that growing and let's get this YouTube growing and, whatever. Come join us on the show. That's probably the most important thing. If you want to check us out on Instagram, Overly Critical Movie Club. I changed my Wolfie Cruz to STFNSNTECRZ. It's like Stefan Santa Cruz, like my actual name with no vowels, because it's really just my personal kind of Instagram. I don't really do too much with it. Wolfie Cruz Art, that's my art page. Go check that out. I got some new posts coming of some cool stuff I made. And Old Beardo is Matty. We're also on Twitter. Check us out on Twitter. I got to update that here real soon. But, you know, I post pretty much every thumbnail there. So if you're interested in seeing our thumbnails outside of the page here, go check them out. We also have merchandise at tpublic.com. Overly Critical Movie Club. Go ahead and search that. The link they give me is overcomplicated, so just go ahead and search it at tpublic.com. We also have a Threadless shop where you can find a Mandalorian-inspired T-shirt design there that's not on the TeePublic website, as well as an alternate Travis version of the tee, of that tee from TeePublic, but over here at Threadless. Check that out. We also got Daniel Crozier as a junior producer. You can be a junior producer as well. Go to patreon.com/Overly Critical Movie Club to join in on that tier. If not, we have other tiers that you can show your support. Also, go to our YouTube channel and check out our first edition of the Overly Critical Classics. We did a deep dive of The Crow. We got more of those coming soon. It's just been kind of a crazy month this month, so we're just trying to keep up with our weekly releases, but more from Overly Critical Classics in the future. Check it out. If you want to contact us by email, overlycriticalmovieclub@gmail.com. Go ahead and do that. That's going to be it for this episode. Go ahead and we're going to take a break here for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so, and then we're going to come back with the Superhero Slam and talk this new Shang-Chi trailer. I just wanted to separate them apart in case you wanted to just see horror over here, or if you wanted to see superheroes over here. We didn't want to take up a whole lot of your time in one singular thing. It actually helps me with the YouTube posting and everything. So come back here in just a minute. We'll be talking Shang-Chi. We're going to take a break. That's the end of this particular episode, so I'm going to run the outro. We'll be seeing you. This is Wolfie signing off.